So this is my recording studio, which is also the smallest of the bedrooms in my house. And if nothing else, it shows you that you don't need too much room in which to operate. This is my background wall that you'll be familiar with if you have ever watched any of my videos. Everything you see here is from IKEA. I simply spent the afternoon going around popping things in a trolley that I thought would look good for my background. I particularly like my little lantern, and I think these fake plants just add to the effect. On the other side of the room is what I see when I'm recording. I have my camera and teleprompter sitting on top of my tripod, and beside that is my laptop connected to the camera via HDMI. I have two lights shining on me and a third vertical strip light behind me shining on the wall. This backlight helps provide a level of separation between me and the wall, plus I think it helps to create the illusion that the wall is slightly further away than it actually is. Most studio setups will aim for three lights. You have your main key light, a backlight, and then a third smaller light called the fill, which is used to remove any harsh shadows on the presenter. Together, these three lights form a kind of reverse triangle with the presenter in the middle of the triangle. I recommend having at least two lights, one in front and one behind you. I wouldn't recommend relying on natural light, however, from a window, as it will be constantly changing depending on the weather, which then means you're having to waste time adjusting your camera settings to compensate. I'm no expert when it comes to photography and lighting, but I think the main aim is to try and eliminate any heavy shadows on the presenter. You want enough light that the presenter will appear well lit, but not too much that then the whole shot starts to become overexposed. Inevitably, you will be constantly tweaking your lighting and camera settings until you feel you've achieved the right balance. For lighting and tripods, I recommend a brand called Neewer, which is spelled Neewer, and they can be found on Amazon. Neewer offers excellent quality for the price, which is significantly cheaper than professional photography gear. They frequently offer bundles that are very popular and sell out quite quickly. I'll leave links below to all the stuff that I use and recommend, but you can generally get a 3-light setup and a tripod like mine for a few $100s, which is well worth the investment. The links I provide below are affiliated, so I will receive a small commission from the vendor, but at no additional cost to yourselves. It is the only revenue I'll receive for providing this course, so by using these links it really helps me with the cost of producing this content without there being any additional cost to you. So thank you very much for your consideration. Okay, on to my camera, and I use this, which is the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark III. I can't show you the actual camera because I'm using it to record this video, but there are several reasons I opted for it. It is a point and shoot, so it is significantly cheaper than a mirrorless or DSLR camera with interchangeable lenses. The built-in lens offers excellent image quality, and it has an aperture range of 1.8 to 2.8, which means you get a nice wide angle, a wide shot with a very shallow depth of field that gives you that nice blurry background effect. The other features of this camera is that it will record at 1080 and 4K video. It has an audio input, meaning you can connect a proper microphone that will significantly improve the audio quality. And the screen will flip up 180 degrees so you can see yourself whilst recording, which is an absolute must if you intend to be on camera. Having said all of that, I do not record my videos on the camera itself. Instead, I output the video and the audio feed to my laptop via HDMI, and I do the recording on the laptop instead, and I'll explain why I do that. One of the limitations of compact cameras, and possibly all cameras, is that they have a limited recording time because they begin to overheat, and invariably they shut down once they reach a certain temperature. Depending on the ambient room temperature, I will get less than 30 minutes recording time out of this camera at 1080p and less than 15 minutes at 4K. So to overcome this limitation, I output the feeds to my laptop, allowing me to record as long as I need to. The only additional piece of kit I need to make this work is this, which is the 4K Camlink USB stick by Elgato. Very few computers come with an HDMI input. It's more common that your computer will have an HDMI output for connecting, say, a second monitor or a projector, but unlikely to have that HDMI input, hence the need for a dongle like this one. Overall, I am very happy with my relatively cheap setup, except for one huge problem with the Canon camera, which is its autofocus. As a YouTuber, one of the things you rely on is that your camera will lock onto your face and keep you in focus throughout the recording. And this camera simply will not do that. If you use the autofocus in this camera, at some point it will lose focus on you and you will appear blurry, which just looks really unprofessional in your videos. It hasn't been a deal breaker for me since I can use the manual focus instead. So because I don't move around a lot when I'm presenting, I can lock the manual focus at the start of my recordings and I don't ever need to worry that I'll ever be out of focus. However, if you are planning on demonstrating a task that requires you to move around in your videos or requires you to move the camera around in your videos, then you'll be relying on autofocus, and therefore I recommend going for the more expensive Sony RX100 Mark VII. The Mark VII has all the features of the Canon, except the autofocus is excellent. I tested both cameras and only went for the cheaper Canon, knowing that I would be using the manual focus. So that completes a look at the lighting setup and my camera. In the next lesson, I'll show you the audio recorder I use and why and how I use a teleprompter.